Hi, I'm Sophie.
Hi, I'm Paul, and we are
SP Film Viewers.
So we're just about to go into the cinema, see our first film of anime. Probably might hear it's raining, so I guess it's a perfect cinema day.
Yeah, it is.
Also cinema evening as we're recording this.
I'm excited. I'm really excited for anime. I feel like that is something that is, I don't know why you haven't thought of it sooner, to be fair.
Yeah, it makes a change from Monster Mash, doesn't it?
Yeah. I'll continue this month.
Yeah, popular, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like we could do it every year.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. There's plenty to choose from there, I haven't seen.
Why did you do Monster March?
Anyway, the film that we're going to be watching is called Suzume. I hope that I'm pronouncing that right. But it's the same director who did Your Name and Weathering with You.
That's the only reason why I'm here. Like, that's literally all you told me. And now I'm here.
It's like sold.
I don't even know what the film is actually about.
Well, I'm going to read a little synopsis of what it's about. Because I sort of vaguely knew, but I kind of was like, yeah, let's go to see this. But the story is about a 17-year-old girl named Suzume who helps a mysterious young man close doors from the other side that are releasing disasters all over Japan.
Spirits?
Oh, sorry?
Did I from the other side made me feel like an afterworld or
right.
something?
Maybe it's like portals or something.
You mean like Stranger Things?
I don't know. Something like that, I guess we'll see. But... So, yeah, looking forward to seeing what this offers.
Yeah, 100%. I'm excited. Let's go.
Okay, right. Okay, we'll see you shortly.
Pick a mixed time.
Yeah, alright, let's go.
Sometimes people have a story to tell. It could be a story of triumph or a story of sorrow. However, it's their story. It's important to keep their story authentic, in their own words, and delivered in a delicate way. That's where Unfiltered Discussions podcast comes in. I'm Brian Howard. I talk with my guests about tough subjects and pivotal moments. I'd love for you to hear their stories. Subscribe to Unfiltered Discussions on your favorite podcast platform. Let's ensure their stories are heard.
And we're back for the first installment of Anime. Clever title, I know. Took me ages to think of that one.
Yeah, I don't know if you're actually genuinely being sarcastic.
So, I am being sarcastic.
Or if it actually
like
just took
nobody
you...
has ever come up with that pun, I'm sure.
Well, clearly they haven't in this podcast because it took you 3 years near enough to think of it. So you're not that clever.
I think it's just because we had other stuff going on that... Like
Excuses, yeah, exactly. Monster March.
Yeah. Whereas I think... Not to say that we don't cover a lot of Japanese cinema or anime.
I think
stuff,
we do.
But I think like a whole thing to kind of like catch up on certain things, a backlog and new stuff such as this film.
No, definitely, and I feel like it's something that we both will want to talk about. Obviously, it's nostalgic as well for us. It's been like 4 years since we've been to Japan, so anything that can bring us back to that kind of feel, we're gonna do, aren't we?
Yeah.
So
yeah. So does this film kind of give you sort of like reminiscing of being in Japan, even though we might not have been to some of the places that were featured in this film, but
definitely the surroundings, the quite quaint little town villages that we've been to, and then obviously the big hustle and bustle of Tokyo. It kind of shows you all different aspects of Japan and the rural side, because that is something that is obviously Tokyo is massive and lots of population, but then the rest of Japan is quite sparse and quite farmlandy and rural, and that's why lots of things are now desolate and abandoned. And also I think as well with the earthquakes, I think sometimes they don't rebuild depending on where it is,
and that's what this film kind of focuses a lot on, the earthquake side of disasters.
Because you don't realise, I know we went in April time and we were quite blessed with the weather. I feel it was a little bit warmer than what we're
used to. Yeah.
And I think obviously they do get like monsoons and such. Like I think we wanted to go in October, didn't we?
I think summer's more like monsoon season, which is kind of weird to think about. But it's obviously ridiculously hot, but they do have like real downpours, everything.
And earthquakes that still go on. I think they had one quite bad last year, didn't they?
Yeah, so it's looming presence that sadly they always got to be prepared for. And
I think that's why they don't build like we do. So like the materials of the houses and such, they don't want to invest. I know it sounds daft in building something that's robust and strong because it's going to get
like all the stonework and stuff, and then like,
and as well, imagine if somebody was in that house.
Yeah,
the damage it would cause on somebody.
Yeah,
if it did crumble.
A lot heavier material, obviously.
We'd be screwed.
Yeah. So we're kind of fortunate we don't occur those things. Although I was in uni when
I slept right through it. You can't even say it was an earthquake. There was hardly anything there.
No, but it was really disorientating because I remember vividly. It was like in the first year dorms, like got into bed and trying to get off to sleep, and then I don't think I had any drink or anything, but I felt like, am I drunk? Because the room was kind of like just shifting a little bit, like really weird, and it's like, what the hell? And then obviously everybody, all the kerfuffle outside, like, oh, did you feel that? Did you feel the room shaking, whatever? And everyone's obviously like a bit like, I don't understand what's going on, kind of thing. And then to learn that and thinking, so that times like 5-10 times worse than that, really scary to.
Yeah, it'd be petrifying. It really would.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I was asleep though, so it wasn't that impactful on me.
Yeah. It was very brief.
Yeah.
Very, very, very brief.
And we are lucky and blessed in the UK. Yes, we have shit weather, but it's not anything as of yet extreme to the point of where we have to be completely worried.
No tsunamis or.
No, we're not near a volcano or anything like that, are we? But to be fair, they have in Japan some beautiful landscapes. And I think that is because of where they're located and the climate they have. And
once again, Makoto Shinkai, director of Your Name and Weathering with You, has done a very good job in, putting together this film that obviously really captures that sort of beautiful landscape. And
it is absolutely gorgeous. We get the first scene of
Suzume.
I knew I was going to do it wrong. And she's only little in this point. And it's the way the grass is kind of blowing in the breeze, and it's just your typical anime kind of opener, isn't it? I know that sounds daft, but it's like somebody running in a panic, but at the same time blissfully beforehand. There's that nice kind of calm before the storm,
right?
If that makes sense. But the opening shot of her as a little one, and it does make you think: is she going to stay little this entire time? More kind of like Totoro, or kind of coming into my head, being like a little girl on an adventure.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I seen very briefly from the poster, it was, and as I said before, it was like a 17-year-old girl, so it was a flashback of some description. But what I noticed, I think, remembering back from the other films, like how the colorization of the sky, like it's like purpley pink haziness with like the stars and everything, and when it's like, obviously like twilight colours. Of that, and it's really like pretty. I think that's just kind of like, I'm sure that's probably very common with other anime films of this kind of nature, but I feel like that's almost like a signature sky, if that makes sense, for his films.
I feel like nature within any anime is something that is kind of really prominent, like even in Studio Ghibli films, nature and the elements and everything like that is quite strong, and I think that goes with, I'm at the moment trying to read. I'm really bad at reading books, aren't I? I always pick it up and then start to get involved in it, and then I put it back down again. But it's to do with wasabi, which is not the spicy.
That's wasabi.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that. It's something different, where it's like this fine balance between nature and calm, and it's having them wasabi kind of relaxation moments, and I feel like that's what you see in anime. And they actually put that
in some anime films,
the ones that I like, they do that, and they have that element in there, and I think that's why it's so strong, because you're connected to nature, you're connected to.
There's something calming about it in how it's visualized.
Even though they had some stressful, like this film was full of action, packed, jammed with everything that could throw at you. it was lovely being in the cinema because there were some comical scenes, which we'll get into, but, there were so many people. It was rammed, wasn't it? The cinema.
Yeah, it was really a good turnout for it. I think it was a limited showing for this, so.
But so many people were laughing as well, and
yeah, it was nice to actually have like, and not like really rubbish jokes that obviously like from Minions or something, and the kids are like it's generally like stuff that was actually quite funny in the tone of it all. But I say that we'll get to that.
It took me by surprise, though. To be fair, not meaning that in a horrible way. I don't think an anime that I've watched has done that for me previously. That has actually made me chuckle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the humour's never really there, or if it is, it's like a culture thing, so it doesn't really hit for us, possibly.
For example, like when I think of like when they're trying to do comedy stuff, I know you haven't got very far into Demon Slayer, but the way they kind of do like exaggerated, like when a character's getting really angry, they do the big like what, like that kind of, I suppose that kind of happened in Pompo, where obviously there's sort of like that, that shocked example, and that was an exaggeration of that. That's kind of like the typical like Japanese humor. They would find that hilarious kind of thing. But there's sort of something about this was very different in the tone of what I was going for in the comedy stuff, so it really worked. But obviously, before we get too far into things, there is going to be spoilers in this film. I should point that out. Obviously, if you want to check this out, it is a very good high recommendation.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think
if you like anime and you like Your Name and Weathering with You, then you will more than likely like this. Enjoy this.
100%. And I think if you try and get to the cinema, obviously we went to the showcase and I think there's only 2 showings of it. So if it is something that you are interested, I'd try and get on it quick sticks, because otherwise it's going to be hard to find probably until they release it.
Yeah, before it comes out in physical or digital download or whatever. But seem to do that quite sparingly with anime releases, because this already came out in Japan in November last year.
Really?
So it's obviously getting it over here with subtitles or dubbed with English. It's obviously that conversion they've got to do. It's not just.
But you'd have thought, not meaning this in a bad way, while they're creating the film and getting it out in Japan, then they'd be on that anyways, doing it. Or they'd be doing it on the side.
Yeah, it still takes a bit of time, but.
To be honest, we watched it with subtitles and how it should be.
Yeah.
And I feel like that now I'd struggle.
Watching it English dubbed.
Yeah, it just won't feel right.
Yeah. And
I think that's surprising, because I remember when I first watched anime, Totoro, and I think
Ghibli ones do that sometimes a lot better, or they do a good job rather.
It still doesn't work as well though. I don't think once you've got used to
subtitles
and the kind of language of the Japanese kind of language, it's easier to kind of hear it, understand it. There's certain words like ikitakimasu when they're eating the food. Straight away I knew what that meant, and it feels like you do pick up certain words. So it's a good way to learn as well. To
some extent. For example, there was the lead character Suzume. There's one point when she's kind of like getting all panicky and she's going mate 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 mate, which means like wait. It's the translation's a bit hazy on my part, but it said like on the subtitle it said like what the heck is going on. So it's like it's just like putting it into like a
British term.
Yeah, American term, whatever. Like
yeah. But obviously, other parts where we know they're correct, it helps us to kind of get them into our vocabulary. In a sense.
Yeah.
And what's nice is when they do come along, you kind of don't have to... my brain somehow subconsciously stops reading.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I recognise that word. I don't need to read it.
No, this is good, yeah. That you can pick up on some of those things and you're not having to... you briefly look at what's there and it's like, but you can still take in what's going
which on. Normally it would take a lot longer to do. So obviously the more that you watch them, the more you get comfortable with them. So I would say to anybody, don't be put off with subtitles if you are first going into it with an anime or anything like that. It is worthwhile.
Yeah. And that being said, the film isn't like a continuation of anything particular, because I wondered if there was going to be the 2 characters from Your Name like making an appearance in. I didn't see anything that gave indication of that, so there wasn't like this continuation. This is like a separate thing entirely. It
could be linked though, because
it could well have been.
It kind of is like that Weathering with You, and there's a port, kind of like the portal key kind of thing. And I feel like it's got similar elements to it.
Yeah.
Which one out of the 2? obviously your name is going to be like the highest up there.
Yeah, yeah,
like out of all of them,
yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
But even now looking at this, like Weathering with You, I feel like it was good, but I actually think this film, for me, I would say I preferred
this one.
Yeah, between if you had to choose Weathering with You and this one.
Okay. So there's still giving an indication on scores. I don't know, but
I can't remember what I scored it.
I have to look back.
But I just think from a comical kind of perspective, I think Weathering with You, it kind of touches on a bit more kind of your heartstrings.
Mm-hmm.
If you want a light watch, I feel like this is a good film to kind of go for. Even though it has morals behind it, it's got that lightness to it, which...
Yeah, it took me by surprise. It really did on that level, in a way. So in terms of, like, dramaticisms of the film, the one that really kind of, like, actually kind of gave me, like... Well, it was just in the cinema, but, like, gave goosebumps in a way. When Suzume, like, first kind of discovers this vision that she sees after obviously discovering this portal into like another dimension type of thing, and awakens this keystone object that becomes a cat, and it runs off after she's encountering this guy called Sota, I think his name is.
God, you're doing well with the names. I'm not.
Because he's looking for a door like within these ruins or something, he says, and this is the first encounter with him, so I don't know what that's about. So she kind of like, it preys on her mind, and she goes to try and find these ruins, and there's a door. Opens it up, and so this is just the twilight sky going on in there, and she leaves it open and wakens his keystone, comes a cat, runs off. And then from that, she kind of seeing these visions when she goes back to school, and this, what is described as a worm, basically. But there's something like there was some like I think it was obviously like the music on that was really like a foreboding threat that was looming over the city, and with all the music and everything that was kind of like the score that was going over that, I kind of got like sort of chills, like, oh my god, this is actually like they're in danger kind of thing. That's I don't think really for a long time like felt like something kind of like that sort of emotion from anime like that, in a sense, like, oh my god, something terrible is going to happen here.
It was quite daunting as well, with the earthquake gap like kind of bzzz in her pocket, and like kind of like they're going to get an earthquake, but actually people are thinking it's an earthquake, but it's not. But
it kind of makes it a strong visual, because you're like, almost like a earthworm essentially.
Yeah.
Almost sort of the
and
colour.
You don't like worms as well, do you?
So the way it's kind of like looming over with these kind of like, even though worms don't have like these tendrils type things, but
it's like other worms coming out of it.
And it's almost like I'm going to topple now, and that's going to cause the earthquake. And it's like, oh my god, it's
visually really cleverly done, and it kind of is. It makes you feel like, well, is it these portal things that do cause earthquakes, or is it just actually the Earth is, ricocheting, really? It's like, which one is it? I'm quite surprised that one did that for you, to be fair, because for me, I wasn't... When you were saying it, I'm like, where's he going? Is he going, like, towards the end?
Oh, no.
Obviously, there's a couple of little heart moments at the end which do take you by surprise. And I was thinking, we got actually already going to the end.
No.
I'm thinking Paul would never do this. Okay. It's quite interesting to see that you felt that way. Can we talk about the little cute cat, please?
Yeah, can you?
So while we were watching this character of this cat, I couldn't weigh him up. I know that sounds daft. I didn't know if he was a good cat, a bad cat. And I'm thinking, it's a Japanese film. I don't know, obviously please correct me if I'm wrong, where a Japanese film has portrayed a cat as bad. Japanese people bloody love cats. Like, the dog is going to be the villain in this, never, if there was one. Never the cat. It's only British people that tarnish cats as bad. So I was like, well, he seems a bit of an arse initially. Like, is this cute, like, bad villain? That's what it feels like he's portrayed as.
Fickle like a cat could be.
And you kind of don't understand why he's trying to encourage her in a way, I want to play with her. And, oh, you're doing so well. And he's like, I don't know if it's like manipulative, it feels, it comes across that way, doesn't it?
Yeah. And it's weird because Suzume, like, on releasing it, it's kind of like scrawny and everything. A little bit malnourished. and then sort of like shows a bit of affection and love towards him, and he kind of becomes like same sort of normal as this cat looks, because he's got like this weird long tail.
That reminds me of something we started watching, and then I think I said to you, no, I won't bother.
Yeah, there was another, I can't remember.
Something to do with witches, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember what the anime is called, but it's on Netflix or something. But it's an old anime. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of like that mystical.
Yeah.
Creature. So I think it's coined by people who kind of come across it on social media, as we'll get to in a moment. But it's called Daijin.
The cat?
Yeah, Daijin.
Don't know what that means.
Jin normally means, I think, means like spirit or something.
Ah, okay.
Something like that, but I don't know what Dai means in that conjunction with that wording. Yeah. But anyway, but from this, now this really took me by surprise when they first encountered this cat, Daijin, and Suzume's taken Sota back to like her place to fix him up, because he's obviously injured from trying to close the door, stop the earthquake, the worm causing more damage. So he's got like cuts and bruises and everything. So picturing him up, and he's sitting on this little tiny kid's chair that's only got 3 legs. We don't know much more about it at this point, what that's in relation to. Mm-hmm. Other than it kind of maybe like a memento of something that Suzume has from a mother, maybe. And so as he's sitting on, this chair, this cat kind of like essentially put like a curse on him.
Yep.
And from it was like, I can't remember what he said exactly, but it's just like dramatic cut, and then it's like the chair topples over. It's like, oh, where's he gone? Where's Sota gone? And then never in a million years would have thought this is a concept to have him be trapped within the confines of this chair. He's now the chair.
Yep.
And he's this inanimate object is now animate.
I think it's really clever. It is. And
it's not done in a way like some say Pixar might do with Cars or something, where it's like got a mouth and it's talking. It's got some eye slots, obviously, to show that there's sort of like there's a face to it. But other than that, it's just a chair with 3 legs hopping around and like, oh my god, I'm a chair, almost like, why you've cursed me now. And it's like, it's brilliant but weird, but I really approve of it as a concept.
I thought you would, to be fair. And it's quite funny because the design of, what's his name? Sota.
Yeah.
Initially, it's quite complicated. It's quite sleek. It's been really well drawn. Mm-hmm. And then he's not used for that
for the
long.
Majority of the film. He's trapped in this chair. Yeah.
And it's like this basic drawing of a chair.
Yeah. This yellow chair.
I feel like somebody's gone, we can't release this film because it's going to take ages with the concept. So we're going to animate.
I don't think that was the.
We're gonna have a chair instead of a full blown character because it'll be easy to animate. We don't have to do its mouth or anything like that. We just have to move its legs. That's it. Like, how more simplistic can that be compared to having a full blown character design? But yeah, it works so well. It's kind of lazy when you look at it, but still, it's not, because it's done really well.
Yeah, it really sounds like something that Pixar would come up with as a concept, or Illumination, DreamWorks, or whatever, or any other kind of like studio making an animated film about somebody trapped in a chair.
Like Beauty and the Beast, really, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, he's trapped in the Beast's body, isn't he? He's cursed.
Oh, I thought you meant like Cogsworth or Lumiere or something, where they transformed. But they actually had, mouths and eyes.
They did.
Expressive things like that, so it's different.
But obviously you can still hear him talking to
Suzume.
I think I'm just going to give in. I'm really sorry. I'm so bad.
Sue.
Or May.
Whatever you want. We'll just get for you.
No, we'll just go her. But yeah, I think it's the way that the relationship builds up, even though he's just a chair, is just so magical within the film. And it shows that actually you don't need... Yes, he's good looking when he was a human, but that didn't matter in the end. Mm-hmm.
I don't think he was like stereotypically like... Oh, she saw something in him, as cliche as that might be for like a male lead animator, or kind of strong everything. But it wasn't like typically handsome, if that makes sense, for like an anime character.
You mean not as chiseled with his jaw?
Yeah, quite long hair, not like, I don't know, like the typical like spiked up shortish.
No, I think it was a different concept, which was nice. He seemed to be still though like quite glamorous.
Yeah. Obviously, you got to have that in that. But
like when he flicked his hair, it was like a moment. But I know what you're meaning. My only gripe I would say is he was a bit older than Suzume. Did I do right?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Woo!
There we go. That's probably the only one of the episode.
Yeah, just copy them now in every other bit.
Suzume. No matter the pitch, just copy that.
Yeah. But don't you think he was like, how old? Because she was only 17. How old would you think he was?
Well, he was in college, wasn't he, or something?
Wasn't he training to be a teacher?
Yeah, but he was in college.
But that doesn't matter.
University.
I feel like you can be that at any age.
Yeah, it's not like community college where you just go into...
No, but you can. Like, I could go to university now if I wanted
I know
to.
that, but I'm saying I wouldn't put him... I didn't really see him as, like, really old, like, 30s or anything like that.
I just thought, because, right, this is my only thing, jumping a bit towards the end. Her auntie, kind of liking that, his friend.
Right, yeah. Well, I don't really say that was liking. I think that was just, I don't really get anything from that. It was just bonding, really.
No, but I feel like, were they similar age? So was that... So then that makes me think, well, is he similar age to her auntie?
Well, he could be 18, 20, maybe. I don't know.
Her auntie's in her 40s.
No, I know that, but I'm saying, like, the other guy... He did have a car and everything, so...
Yeah, I don't know when it's legal to drive in Japan.
I'm pretty sure that's about the age. I can't think it'd be any later than that. to be driving. But
do you think
I really wasn't worried too much about that aspect, really. Wasn't really dwelling mainly because he was the chair for most of it, so I kind of glossed over that, even to what age he really was. I would just took it for he was sort of... I thought they weren't going to make it too weird to be like, oh, he's in his 30s and he's...
Well, I just think the way he was drawn, he looked older. It looked a lot older than her.
Maybe a few years, but...
Maybe 5. But because he was a chair, it was kind of condonable. But you also have to feel kind of sorry for Suzume, because she's spending all her money investing in kind of looking after the chair in the end. And gets
transversing over... Because he ends up on a ferry because he's chasing him down. And from this, everybody's like, oh, look at the cat, cute cat, fine, whatever. He's like a viral sensation on the internet. He's like on Twitter, he's on Instagram, and all this kind of stuff.
We just need to post more of Arthur, and then we'll be like that, Paul. Then our podcast will just boom.
Yeah. And also, obviously, this runaway chair, basically. And so that's weird. That's really weird. And so that's one of the aspects of this, because it's showing the fact of the modern times in conjunction with the traditional aspects of what Japan has to offer, like jumping to a different part for a second, where Suzume's stopping over at her acquaintances temporarily, and they're in like the type of ryokan, like lying on the tatami mat bed, and there's like the phone's plugged into the wall on a cable, and it's like, obviously that wasn't a thing way back.
No.
But it's obviously mixing the traditional old with the new technology of life and everything. But
Japan are known for the technology. So it makes sense to have both of them, because that's what the culture is now. Yeah.
So like that aspect, and obviously, like I was saying, just about how a lot of the things are like, oh, look at the social media and look at all the posts, the reels, and everything.
I feel like a lot of films incorporate that now, but I guess that's what life is. Sadly, that's how everyone kind of learns and reads about the news.
Hashtag Daijin or whatever going on trending on Twitter. Yeah.
But she gets into a lot of trouble with her auntie, because obviously she's ran away in her auntie's mind. We kind of realise from the fact that her mum is no longer around and her auntie's kind of like taking her on and is looking after her. And her auntie only wants the best for her. But at the same time, it's like over-parenting a little bit. But obviously for her, she doesn't get the full picture of what Suzume is doing. So how can she understand and relate to it?
She feels like she's been overbearing, but she feels she's got the responsibility of that because her sister's daughter, who's passed away.
And who else is looking after her, really?
So it's like, so she's taking full custody of and so, she feels obliged to be looking out for her, and like she's always saying, oh, don't be hanging around with any boys or anything like that. That kind of
Yeah.
stereotype in a sense. But and also there's a lot of play on that with like how like, boys are the worst or anything like that. It's
I wonder if somebody writing this had a breakup or something.
Anti-male.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. But I guess it's in the eyes of a teenage girl, and at that point, they can be.
Yeah, but I mean, for you, for example, you were still like sort of pining over or interested in boys, weren't you? Even if you were like, I don't like want a boyfriend, but you kind of secretly did, kind of.
No,
No,
I wasn't one of those girls that just fancied any boy that said hi to me. I wasn't one of them.
no, but I'm not. Well, I'm not just talking about that. I'm obviously like like pop stars or. Whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Pop stars, but like at school and stuff. Really, I wouldn't say I would. Just kind of, I didn't really actually have a crush on anybody at school. But I feel like it's one of those things where I think when you're younger, we do kind of tarnish all boys the same. If one person's been hurt by a boy, then everyone just assumes
they're all the same.
Yeah.
I get it. So basically, they're kind of going along this, transversing the whole of Japan to try and find this little cat.
Yeah, and you think he's the one opening the portal every minute.
Yeah, kind of leads it to that way.
And that he's causing trouble and kind of being like a pain, really, and like he's the one. But I don't know if it comes to a point of where actually he's more aiding them and helping them, but they don't see it that way.
He's kind of had to weigh up initially. Let's say he's one part of the puzzle of this referred to as the keystones, as I say, to like blocking up these natural disaster of this big ominous worm creature, spirit, whatever you want to call it, that's causing the earthquakes and everything. And they're on the road to kind of to obviously to try and get him back to being like, you've got to revert back to a keystone. But this other one on the, I think it's west side or east side or something like that, I don't know, like the other side of the map, basically. We need to find the other keystone to make sure that one's secure. Otherwise, the full force of what the worm is going to cause, like destruction to not just to Japan, the entire world, essentially, is like that looming threat. So there's obviously they're on a timer type of aspect of it. So that going through the film, you kind of got that going on as well, because obviously, and to be honest, that was when that kind of the unbalance did occur with that. There was a sort of feeling like, oh my god, these people could actually die. I didn't think it was really going to happen that way. It's obviously because it's like this isn't that kind of film where it's like, oh, just go somber and misery is going to just destroy a thing. But even so, obviously, like seeing like people in Tokyo or wherever across Japan are happy with the families and all that kind of stuff, and you're thinking, oh my god, one fell swoop, everyone could just be decimated, and it's just.
Well, it was horrible for Suzume because she was like torn at that point as well with how her choices, and it's one of those things where do you choose the person who you believe you love or the rest of the world, and you have to kind of sacrifice somebody that you love because of it. And I think this is where she finds it quite difficult, and it shows that actually it's all to just do with the keystone that she removed in the beginning. Yeah. Which, if you hadn't have done that, we wouldn't have a film.
Yeah, that's just true.
But the cat within this, I feel like I don't think he's rebellious. I think all he wants to do is be Suzume's cat and be loved, and I think that's all he really wants. Yeah.
Because there's a moment where she's like, oh, I don't love you anymore, go away or something, and he kind of like shrivels back into his weaker self, essentially, and he slinks away. So it just wants her approval or affection or whatever.
And it makes you feel kind of heartbroken when you realise, actually, he didn't do anything wrong, I don't think. That's how I interpret it. I don't actually think he did anything wrong. It wasn't his fault. No. He didn't want to be a keystone anymore. He wanted to actually be a cat and live his life instead of just being shoved in the ground.
Yeah, I feel like, to some extent, you might think from it's that he might be the cause of all these portals opening, but I think it's something that's kind of just inevitable, just like anything. Japan is on a timer with these earthquakes. They could happen at any point. They just seem to be occurring at very frequently these times over these past few days, because I'm sure that might not occur like that often in real life. You could go years before another one could occur, but you can never be too sure. But it's scary to think about. You've got to be on edge and prepared at all times.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is. And I think it's cleverly done where it kind of educates you a part of this to show that, the humans only think it's earthquakes, but actually it's portals underneath. But actually it's probably a good way of showing what...
Visualise. Yeah, in a way.
It's a clever way of doing it.
Yeah. Which I noticed a lot from, as I've been watching films of recent, like, things, especially like horror films and stuff, there's normally like heavy on the metaphors of something like a creature or something meaning something to somebody else, like trauma or something like that kind of aspect. So I kind of picking up on that a bit more in films, and like this is like, it's like a physical manifestation of what an earthquake is.
Yeah.
Looming over the city.
It's one of those things where it's there, but you can't see it. You can just feel it, and you can see what the impact is, but you can't actually physically see
what's occurring.
What's occurring underneath the ground.
Yeah.
But I feel like this film depicts that really well. It shows how a strong connection on loving somebody and Suzume's kind of like personality. I feel like she's like your main lead. She gets by meeting lots of other people in random cities that really help
her out with the situation where she's traveling with this chair. And one of the typical humour parts, as I will talk about some of the humorous bits, is like when this mother and her two kids picks her up from the bus stop, because obviously it's going to take forever to get
12 hours or something until the
6
next one or
hours
something ridiculous.
Yeah, crazy. Well, maybe in a rural area that might be the case, but
Jesus, imagine if you missed the bus to go to work, you won't be going the entire day.
Yeah. And they've got like, the kids in the back have got like these McDonald's food and cups and stuff, and they kind of balance it on, and the chair's wobbling around. It's like as if like, oh, don't spill anything on me, because I'm a person in here, but they don't. We can't really let on that anything is wrong when they're kind of just like, what? I swear that chair moved.
Yeah.
And everything, and even more so when Suzume is having to like babysit the two kids for the mother when she's working or whatever like that, and so she's run ragged a bit, like, oh, I don't think I could have kids and everything. So the Sota, who's the chair, has to step in as such. And so, like, having to, like, play with them and everything. And so that's kind of, like, funny in that aspect. Of, like, kind of shocked. And
because, like, look, you can talk.
Like, yeah. And then what they said about, it's really smart. Like, AI.
kind of
built-in AI. And so it's like,
sing something to us.
Yeah, what's the weather going to be tomorrow? And it's like, it's not that intelligent.
Like an Alexa or Google thing. Yeah. Just saying that, and then I was like, I'll check to make sure my Google hadn't gone off. I wonder if we've made anyone's Alexa go off by saying that either. But yeah, it just shows, yet again, a modern twist on technology. Yeah,
exactly. Incorporating that as well, so that was kind of funny, yeah. And other things, like, other humour was that other people were laughing at that. And I think, like, just the social media aspects and stuff, because, again, it's relatable to a modern audience on that sense. And
I think the chair was one of the main laughing factors. Basically, that was the comedic value. So even like running down with just like the street, the way that he ran with just like 3 legs, that was kind of comical within itself. And I think he was the main comic aspect. There was another part where I think quite a few people laughed, and I'm trying to think of it now. And it wasn't even just going down the street, but it was something he said or a line, and everyone kind of just chuckled from it. And I think this is what I haven't seen happen with an anime that we've watched in the cinema with a British audience, really laughing. And I think that's just something that's really cleverly done.
I think the other, what I can recall, was the other comedy aspects was this guy called...
Oh, his friend.
Yeah, Sota's friend. I think he's called Minoru, I think. And it's mainly to stuff where because he's got a car and everything, and it's kind of like when he's taking Suzume and his aunt.
Oh,
in
that's
the
quite
car,
funny. Just
and
before
he's kind of
then,
like,
as well. So like they're having a bit of an argument. Like she didn't want to get in the car with him. People are thinking, "Oh, wait a minute, is he kind of like
two-timing?"
And then the aunt comes in, and they're like, they don't know what's going on, and everyone's like staring at him. So even that aspect is comical, but then also the convertible car.
The sun, when it's raining, the sunroof won't go over, And it's like, I knew it wasn't gonna work, kind of thing. He knew that it was broken and everything. And when he was like singing along in the car and everything, and the aunt's like, oh.
And also the songs that you picked to sing along to the situation, so they like really fit
playing
in.
to the audience, yeah.
And then when it decides to be like bumped, it eventually works? Does the convertible car can close? Obviously, when it's raining, Suzume is fine because she's in the back, so she's got no problem whatsoever. But the aunt and this guy, get wet through.
And then when the sunroof does come up, so how it works now. And then his driver door comes off when they crash, and it's like, that's typical, isn't it? Yeah, so those aspects are really, really good. And I kind of liked, obviously, touching on the songs that are playing when he's singing along in the car, and also got like his phone, and you see like screens of like a Spotify screen and everything, as if he's like swiping through, like we do. It's like, I don't want that song, that's not good. And you see the little artwork and everything of the artist and all that. That's really a nice touch as well. Attention to detail with that.
Yeah, it just makes it more realistic, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. In a world where you have this other cat thing as well that kind of comes out.
I didn't get that bit. That really threw me off because it was like possessing or in the aunt's body, which really threw me off. I was like, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah.
And I still don't know if it was good or bad, and it's like it meant to be a god.
I think they both were essentially seen as that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that did throw me for a loop as well, because like the whole rest of the time she wasn't really like seeming as bad. There's just this one instance where the aunt was like, oh, how bad my life has become because of you, kind of thing, just for this brief moment, and then this bigger cat appears, the cat spirit, and it's like, oh okay.
Yeah, it's like, have you
that was a bit
kind of just made her be nasty to Suzume for no reason, or is that actually how she felt? But I think Suzume always wants her aunt to be happy. She wants her to get a date. She wants her to go out. She really encourages that, and I think her auntie just thinks she can't do that for whatever reason, because she has to look after Suzume.
So that was, it was just momentarily like really bad, like a typical turned anime character or whatever, if that makes sense, like dark tone. And
but then they seemed really cute when the cats were like actual cat-liked, and they were cuddling up in the car together and everything like that, and then it seemed really good. And actually, in the end, they turned out both to be good. So I was like, I'm so confused. I think really confused with the cats. Like
cats are fickle.
Are you good or are you bad?
Yeah.
Like, which one are you?
Yeah. So when I was talking about what kind of like gave me the sort of what I described as giving me the chills at the beginning, was what you thought I meant, the like climactic like fight with the big cat turned to like big like kaiju creature. That was really cool. But I kind of wanted a little bit more from that. I felt like I needed a bit more epicness to it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was really cool to see like the thing coming to its own, and it's like this really, but almost that's like a god essentially. Like this big legendary creature.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
I knew that was where it was coming from.
Oh, more Digimon I felt actually.
Really?
Yeah.
But
because there's one that sort of looks like that in a sense. But I was speaking of Pokemon, that was, I think you even said it in the cinema. You said, you nudged to me, and it's like, oh, Sota in chair form, and the little cat were like almost like on the field, like across from each other, almost like a Pokemon battle was going to start.
It did, it really did.
Daijin used quick attack or something. Or tackle or whatever,
And then chair.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Woodhammer. Is
that actually a move?
Yeah, is
it? Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Who would have won in that battle?
I don't know. Even stakes, I suppose. Depends what type he would be. Grass.
I knew you were going to say that. Well, ground would the chair be? I don't know. Wood?
I would just class that as grass.
Would you? Okay.
Type, yeah.
And what's the cat? Normal?
If normal or fairy, maybe.
Yeah, because it could change.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, either way.
But no, I know what you're meaning. I do feel like with that scene though, I felt
which one? Sorry.
For the cat, like at the end of it.
Oh yeah.
And that's the bit where when you were saying what made me feel choked up and what I thought you was going to say.
Yeah.
I wasn't too bothered about the chair coming back to normal. That didn't really bother me that such.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. It more broke my heart with the cat being the keystone again. I could have cried at that point.
Oh, what? Because he was trying to help Suzume pull him out from being this keystone.
But then you knew that meant he was going to have to be the keystone again.
Right. I thought when he was like, Gaijin was like, oh, like getting like he was lying on his back injured.
Yeah, he was injured as well. I was like,
oh,
he's going to die. He can't die. And then it was like getting himself worked up. And like, then I'm like, no, Sophie, you're watching an anime. You're fine. And then, but it was more him sacrificing himself again to be a keystone. And how awful had Suzume been to him all the way through because she thought he was bad. And actually, he wasn't. Like, that's how I take it anyways. He wasn't.
Yeah. Instead,
she had to have, what's his face? Because he's more dishy, isn't he? I'd have gone for the cat. Sorry, Paul.
Yeah, I see.
Arthur would have been saved over you.
I know, I stand then.
Yeah.
Love does prevail, obviously. It's kind of like a trope, I suppose, but...
I think that's why we're here. I feel like that's one of his main purposes. Like, if you don't find that person or a companion or anyone that you love, it doesn't matter which way you love them, then what is the point? Like, they say this about celebrities, don't they? They have all the money in the world, but if you're really lonely and you don't have anyone, there's no point in having all that money. Yeah. But no, I guess you're right. Love does prevail.
So then it seems like everything's all hunky-dory, back to normal, really, from that. And I guess it kind of just ends as you might expect, really.
Yeah, it does. It kind of comes back to a typical cliche anime, I'd say.
Closure, like, oh, we'll be friends, I'll see you in... I'll come and visit you and everything. And just those kind of like...
But does he? Is it like... what's it called? Before sunset or whatever, or sunrise, where they don't meet again. Do they exchange numbers?
Yeah. Well, that's answered very quickly. The end of the sort of credits bit. You like that, don't you? When they've got the summarising little clips and like the credits, like, oh, here's what happened after the fact, the little epilogue. Of
I do.
To answer any
Don't pick
question.
on me. I do. I like a full closure of what's happened, and it gave me that. It gave me everything. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if it helped that we had pick and mix and I had a cup of tea, or if it was just a really good film and it took me by surprise. Better than the previous film we watched in the cinema.
Yeah, no, I'd say, as it stands anyway, there are other animated films coming out this year we want to see, but thus far, this is the best animated film seen at the cinema.
100%.
Of film of this year.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah. Still haven't seen Puss in Boots and The Last Wish, no.
We really wanted to go and see that and then we couldn't get there, could we?
No.
We'll have to rent it.
Yeah, I think it's on that now. So, yeah, is there anything else you want to bring up on this one that you can remember? Obviously, it was no notes taken. It's kind of just
it's hard. It's just visuals in your head. But I just think it was absolutely beautiful. I really do, and I like the fact that it showed you different travelling. So she did get on a bullet train.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, and
she fell asleep.
She missed Mount Fuji.
Yeah, and I think it's just them typical touristy things. Even though she is from Japan, obviously you still do them touristy things. Even in the UK, when we go to London,
you don't see the country.
You're not from there.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's quite nice, adding different cultures.
She essentially got to see the entire country by accident.
Yeah.
In a sense.
But she was in, like you said, a little ryokan, and she wore like a kimono. We had like a really nice kind of meal done out as well.
Again, the food looked great in that. Well.
I think the food in this, there was so many times where I was like, I could eat that. Like, I think there was something to do with like udon noodles at one point. It was like
fried udon,
with egg. I was like, oh, amazing. So just, I think for us, obviously, because we've been, it gives you that kind of even more appreciation for it because it is really true and authentic with how it is perceiving it.
I say, just like the other ones, it kind of captures that very well as well and just makes it just visually appealing in all aspects, in like the cityscapes and some of the countryside areas and just nature and all that kind of stuff, and just
even in general with like the abandoned areas, like how stunningly beautiful they were, even though they were abandoned. I think all the plants were growing up, the vines and of the buildings and everything. Yeah,
nature taking over essentially. Yeah, and nature. I think that's part that nature is still prevalent even in these built-up cities and stuff. It's still blooming.
But I think as well, what's really special is the fact that nature is taking over them abandoned places, and it shows that actually it's not really abandoned because
there's still life there.
Yeah. And I think that's everything from me now. I think I've pointed out some good points there. Well done, Sophie.
Right, so to the scoring for this. From what I see noted down on our scoring of the previous films, Your Name for both of us was 9.
Mm-hmm.
Though I think on reflection probably be more of 10.
Yeah.
Now, and more so. I know our friend Rick is a big fan of
His favourite film.
Yeah.
Did you introduce him to it?
He's big on anime, so...
It is a fun fact that actually I feel like I've only met Rick a couple of times. I think like the 4th time that I met him was in Japan, when we both went on holiday there.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was there. You said you were aware that he was travelling, but it depended on whereabouts he was, but we were both met in a Pokemon Centre. And I always now think that's just crazy.
It's just such a small world. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love how we were both too busy to, we didn't even sit and get a drink with one another. We just were like, all right, yeah, hi, bye, kind of thing. I was like...
Anyway, we gave Weathering with You gave it 8.5, and I gave it an 8.
Oh, wow, so you underscored a little bit? Not underscored, but, I scored a little bit higher.
Yeah. But I think that probably still sits at that based on...
Yeah.
Especially based on what we've watched.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think it was going to sit at a 9 for me with this one.
Yep, I think I agree, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Your Name would be a 10 now.
Yeah.
I think this one would be a 9, and then 8.5, 8 seems right for Weathering with You.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how it would go.
Yeah.
So I feel like Weathering with You, I think it is good.
Yeah.
But I feel like it does kind of pull on your heartstrings a little bit more, and there's a lot more kind of politics, and it just feels a lot more kind of straight cut about it. Whereas this is, I don't know, it's something completely different.
It really did take me by surprise of the level of humour that was engrossed into it. Whether that remains on a follow-up watch,
I feel like it will.
Yet to be determined. But I think, to be fair, it probably will be a while since we come back to this. Especially, obviously, let's say, waiting for it to come out on disc, Blu-ray, whatever, or anything like that. It takes, forever to the things to get released over here. I remember it took so long for, Weathering with You to get, to come over here. And I know, Japan got, a 4K version of it. And then it's do I get it imported from there? But then eventually they did release it as 4K over here. It's oh, thank goodness.
Cost a pretty penny otherwise, wouldn't it?
And it did the same with Your Name as well. Shortly after that as well. But anyway, I think I said at the start, it was it's a really good recommendation for an anime film to check out for humour and some emotion. I say not as heavy as Your Name does, I'd say, but there's something there. And I'm sure that how you take it, especially I think more than obviously the mother-daughter connection that's going on with the younger Suzume. She's really upset and everything. That's a little bit
especially with the chair as well, the relationship with the fact that it was her birthday gift to Suzume, and the mum handmade that chair, and that's why it was so important to her.
Yeah.
I feel it does kind of pull on your heartstrings, and when she's crying, and she's only 4 years old, and she's not got her mum anymore.
Yeah, she didn't understand that she's lost. And there's another part where Suzume goes to her younger self.
That is quite emotional.
She's trying to explain to her, no, you, listen to me, you're going to be fine, you're going to grow up, and
people are going to love you, and you're going to have...
Yeah, that did kind of, was a bit a little bit, but not to the, tear in my eye or anything like that, but there's some level of emotion. I don't know how you felt about that.
I think it makes you want, I think anyone would want to go back and talk to their younger self and kind of go, it's going to be fine. You're going to be okay. And you're going to get through it. And I feel like this kind of does a mixed bag of emotions, not to a point of where you kind of crying completely. Maybe a little bit of a feel of a tearjerker. Yeah. But then it swiftly kind of moves on then, and you're okay again. Yeah. And I think that's what it does.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
So really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too.
Really, really did. I would recommend anyone to go see it if you can, if it's not already been missed by the time that...
Yeah, that's the only thing. But I'm sure it might be different in the States. Something might be, who knows, might be available.
They might have already seen it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's fine. But anyway, if you do get a chance to check out Makoto Shinkai's latest film, then please do. Alright, so thank you very much for listening to this episode. Mm-hmm. And if you would like to listen to some of our other episodes, then please go and find us over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you get your podcasts from.
Yep, definitely. So we do have an Instagram and a Twitter and a TikTok page. So if you haven't already and you want to follow us and subscribe to all of that good stuff, then just search for SP_film viewers and you'll be able to hit that follow button. Well, I say
Smash
follow.
That like button.
Yeah, I don't know what it is on Twitter, but I know on Instagram it's follow.
Just follow us. Yeah.
Follow us. And fun fact is, we've got some Patreons.
Is that a fun fact?
Yeah, it's a fact.
Well, yeah. Is it fun?
Well, for you it is. You get some perks of it, I guess. And we built up a little family.
Yeah, like shouting out the fans.
Yeah.
Who follow us. Or shouting out the people who are kind enough to donate for our cause.
Which is your section, so you do it very well.
So those people who have subscribed to our Patreon are Mark from 100 Things We Learned from Film, Ben from Film Vloggers, your mum, our friend Jones, who is at Weight Loss Jonesy on Instagram, and Nico from The Good, The Bad and The Weird podcast.
So I just have to tell you something. With this, I know that Jones definitely waits to the end to see if we're going to say anything else about him. He has admitted this to me. Like, he will finish our podcast and then want to listen. And I didn't think people wanted to wait till the end. So I feel like we need to do this more justice next time and give people, like our patrons, a little bit more love. So obviously we go through the names, but then I feel like we need to give them a bit more respect for what they're doing. I feel like, once they've heard about the film, that's it. Oh, they're just doing the spiel. I just stop. So you have to give Jones some love because he waits until the end. And if you want to be a Patreon and you want to wait for people to listen to the end of the episode, then you can join our family for £1 or $1.50. And Paul's going to tell you where because I forgot that bit.
So, to have your name read out and to have the opportunity to vote on a film we watch once a month, you can do so by going to patreon.com/SP Film Viewers.
And come to the dark side.
Lastly, if you would also be so kind as to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and wherever else they do the scoring system, that'd be very much appreciated as well.
Most certainly. Well, I hope everyone has enjoyed listening to this as much as we have watched it. And this is just yet to come, basically. We've got a whole month of anime, and I can't wait.
Yep, so there'll be one, obviously, that you guys will get to pick from later in the month, but I need to decide on the other ones that are going to be planned out, because there's like so much to choose from.
Do we get 5 in total because of May being a longer month? Possibly do.
Not sure.
Exciting.
So, thank you very much once again for listening, and we will speak to you next time.
Speak to you next time.
Sayonara.
I was going to say konnichiwa, but then I knew I'd be saying it wrong. So what? Sayonara.
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 Sayonara.